Dad, I know I promised you I'm gonna give you my first Grammy, but we might have to fight for this one.
She said she want to thank everybody for her first Grammy.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit. He lined up D-Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. There the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it, and the 6 hours that she spent with him, and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him, with no parental supervision. Her father did.
What if the biggest names in music, the ones we admire, sing along to, and tie to our most personal memories, were hiding uncomfortable truths? The internet is rewatching old clips with new eyes, and one name keeps coming up: Jay-Z. Not because of his billion-dollar success, not because of his legendary catalog, but because of the way he's interacted with artists close to him, including Rihanna. A resurfaced moment from 2008 has reopened the conversation. Rihanna had just won her first Grammy for Umbrella, a defining milestone in her career. On stage, she took a deep breath, smiled, and began to thank her father. "Dad, I know I promised you I'd give you my first Grammy, but we might have to fight for this one." It was raw, genuine, beautiful. Then Jay-Z interrupted. She said she wanted to thank everybody for her first Grammy, he said, cutting in. Rihanna, clearly caught off guard, quickly shifted. "Thank you for being a part of this record with me." But Jay wasn't done. He stepped in again, saying she wanted to thank Jiggaman for being the greatest in the world, referring to himself in third person. A heartfelt moment suddenly shifted into a public power play. Now, fans are asking, was this just awkward timing, or a glimpse into something more controlling? And in a shocking twist, some online are even saying he might be worse than Diddy, a statement that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago.
Dad, I know I promised you I'm gonna give you my first Grammy, but we might have to fight for this one.
She said she want to thank everybody for her first Grammy.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Jay-Z for being a part of this record with me.
She like to thank Jigga Man for being the greatest in the world.
L.A. Reid, Steve Bartles, Tata, Jay Brown, Karen Kwok for finding this amazing record. Tricky, Dream for writing such a beautiful record. Thank you, I love you guys. Mom, Dad, my two brothers, Rory and Rajad. Please wrap up, okay? Barbados, I love you. We got one. Evan Rogers, Carl Sturken, Mark Jordan, Krista, making sure I don't forget anybody. Thank you so much.
In that moment, everything shifted. What should have been Rihanna's spotlight, her tribute, her victory was quietly hijacked by Jay-Z's need to be acknowledged. At the time, few noticed. It passed as just another unscripted celebrity moment. But years later, after the recent passing of Rihanna's father, fans revisited that footage, and the tone felt different. What once seemed harmless now felt cold, detached, even controlling. The emotion on Rihanna's face, the interruption, the awkward shift in energy, it's all being viewed through a new lens. And the question is no longer was it a mistake? It's was it ever really about her at all?
You've connected some of the dots when you talked about, Rihanna's father, right? Like he allowed her to come over there, because we would always think like, how could a minor be doing these things? And obviously we would never say anything, but you've connected so many unanswered questions and stuff that we would talk about, that we were too scared to like bring up. It's like, wow, because I didn't think of Rihanna as a human. I thought her as a client. I didn't think of her as a minor. I thought of her as a client and as an artist.
That I know in LA that they had taking her out and taking her to all the parties and clubs. They didn't find out that she was underage until they went to the Rainbow Room one night. and she couldn't provide ID. They were told she was 21 when in all actuality she had just turned 17. You remember when she was in LA right after Palm the Replay broke? That was around the time where they were moving you out and putting her new handlers in.
Right. That's facts. That was a really
She needed you. She needed her original team. And they removed y'all to make sure she had nobody to outcry to.
right. And then we were almost blacklisted.
Oh no, absolutely blacklisted. They didn't tell you you were blacklisted. It's just the jobs that you used to get easy. All of a sudden there were other people. There was a new direction. There were restaurants you used to eat at that were always sold out. Your table wasn't available. It is the shunning.
Yeah, exactly.
Social shunning. And then when people that you know who you are, start talking about you behind your back in ways that they never did, and all of a sudden their career begins to elevate.
Yeah.
It's social engineering. And the sad thing about it is, every last rapper that you said you over also happens to be a government informant.
Yeah.
Why would you think that you had a chance against these people when everything that they do, the government seems to ignore? It seems like they were untouchable because you didn't know that they had a deal.
Right.
They had permission to act like assholes and never have to be accountable for it, or so the government said, so they get to people like you and people like me and people like Aaliyah and people like Rihanna, people like Lauryn Hill and people like Rakim, and people like Nas. You know what I'm speaking. Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit. He lined up D-Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D-Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D-Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
You did.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyoncé, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it. Think of the power of that moment. Think about Claudia Jordan right now. Claudia Jordan don't ever mention my mother name. She mentioned it yesterday. Talking about why people are afraid to come forward. You mean like you? You was Diddy girl. Corey was Jay-Z, girl.
One comment online said it all. What kind of control do they have over these singers? Another user put it even more bluntly. He makes my skin crawl. What was once dismissed as a harmless interruption is now being re-examined under a much harsher light. Fans are saying Jay-Z couldn't stand that Rihanna thanked someone else. First Stand made sure to redirect the spotlight live on the biggest night of her career. And with the recent loss of her father, many felt the moment hit even harder. That Grammy was something personal and, having it overshadowed still stings. But the truth is, that moment may have only scratched the surface. Back in 2005, Rihanna was just 17 when she auditioned for Jay-Z and L.A. Reid at Def Jam. She recalled singing for them and getting instant interest, but instead of being sent home with papers, she was reportedly told there were only two ways to leave: sign the deal, or find another way out. Since they were on the 29th floor, there was only one real choice. At the time, it sounded like a bold, hardball negotiation story, but now, that story feels a lot less like ambition and a lot more like pressure.
You know, I heard the record and I was really afraid of the record. It was so big that I thought the record would be bigger than her.
Right.
I thought the record, she would be the Pon de Replay girl.
Forever.
Yeah, so, but I took the meeting anyway. I said, let me just meet her. And,
Beautiful
when I
girl.
met her that day, I knew she was a star. Like, just her look, the way she walked into a room and her confidence, and she performs, and I tell her, there's no way out of this office. I signed her that day.
She must be generating a fortune, right?
Yeah, well.
I mean, if you retired tomorrow, you could just run her career and make a ton of dough. Am I correct?
No.
I'm wrong?
No, I have expensive
What would it take for Jay-Z to go down like Diddy did?
I don't know. But I got an idea that Evan Rogers is gonna help me figure that out.
And who is Evan?
Evan was the producer who only seemed to work on teeny bopper projects, who discovered Rihanna at 3 a.m. in the morning in a hotel room on the island where she comes from, with no parental supervision. And then she was put on a private plane, a minor, from one country to another, without parental supervision. And she ended up in a boardroom with Mr. Carter, without parental supervision. Y'all got young children. Would you just let your daughter leave and go to a whole other country with some you don't know?
Absolutely not.
Doing talent shows at 3 a.m.
So you're saying that the rumors are true. There are rumors circulating that Rihanna was actually trafficked here. Are you saying that
Doesn't sound that way? Because her daddy ain't show up till 24 hours later to pick up a $500,000 check for his daughter. Maybe we should look more into that album, Auntie. That album cover was disturbing. A child bride with a crown over her head and blood smeared on her face. I don't know. How don't people see SOSs anymore? I mean, maybe I'm just...
Rihanna once laughed while telling this story, recounting to Tyra Banks and The Guardian how she was locked in an office until 3:00 a.m. after her Def Jam audition. She called it very flattering at the time. But today, fans are hearing it differently. A teenage girl, alone with powerful music executives, held in a room late into the night, and told she couldn't leave without signing a contract. That doesn't sound empowering. It sounds like pressure. And not just any pressure, coming from the very top. Jay-Z and L.A. Reid have both retold this moment over the years like it was a bold move, even a point of pride. But now the internet is asking, why did we ever think this was okay?
With you, and he stormed out of Clive Davis's house, got into his very expensive car, and Rihanna chased after him. She she gets in the car and started fighting on him because he embarrassed her for calling her a dick and saying in front of everybody that she gave him the herpes at Clive Davis's house the night before the Grammys. She in the car trying to him up. They're speeding on the Pacific Coast Highway, and you know Pacific Coast Highway, very steep. She could have killed the both of them fighting him while he was trying to just get the away from her.
After Rihanna parted ways with Def Jam in 2014, she never fully stepped out of Jay-Z's shadow. She signed with his label, ROC Nation, and from that point forward, he remained a constant force behind her biggest career moves. One of the most notable, her 2023 Super Bowl halftime performance, a massive return to the stage, reportedly orchestrated with help from Jay-Z himself. To some, it looked like mentorship at its finest. To others, it felt like influence that never truly loosened its grip. At ROC Nation events, award shows, and brunches, fans have pointed out subtle but telling moments, the way Rihanna carries herself around Jay-Z, sometimes distant, sometimes visibly uncomfortable. Taken alone, they might mean nothing. But, when viewed alongside everything we now know, they raise a difficult question. Was Rihanna ever truly free to make her own choices? Or was Jay-Z always just a few steps behind, watching? And while the internet churns with theories and receipts, one person has remained silent through it all, Beyoncé. No statements. No interviews. Just calculated appearances. And silence that says more than words ever could.
I think you were onto something before a lot of this, specifically about Jay-Z. And there are some clips I want to watch with you, particularly one of Rihanna that really freaked me out. This clip, guys, if you haven't seen it, which I hadn't seen it till this morning when I saw this headline, Kim found it for me. Let's watch this clip quickly.
Crazy
Let's
that you
watch
haven't
Tyra
seen
pushing
this.
To get this out of Rihanna, and when it does, man, it made me feel very, very uncomfortable.
Audition. Yes. But before I met him, I was so nervous. I was shaking literally. But the moment I walked into the office, the atmosphere was so warm and welcoming.
You had to sing a cappella for him?
Yes, I had to sing. I sang Pon de Replay. I sang another ballad from the album last time.
So then what did he say to you? He said something to you.
Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, he did it homework.
I did a lot of homework on you, Miss Lady.
He said, there are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing.
Yeah.
The audience is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if Tyra was trying to get that on the record, but my God, what Jaguar? He threatened her. This is her own words coming out of her mouth, and she was a kid at that time, correct?
15-year-old girl who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it. And the 6 hours that she spent with him, and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him with no parental supervision. Her father didn't show up to the next day to come and collect the check.
Well, and
this is in her life.
The rumors were even beyond that, right? That Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with her when she was
Very
17
so.
Is what a lot of this came out through a publicist who later then
Have
had
you
to
spoken
apologize.
to my friend Jonathan Hay? You should talk to Jonathan.
Please.
Because Jonathan was there. He was right there working with Rihanna. And it was right when they started crafting her to be seen as a brand and commodity only and not a person. And when I talk to Jonathan now, just to hear him when he thinks of his teenage daughters, he was like, Rihanna was the same age my girls are now. I couldn't imagine putting my daughters through what we put her through. And then the next thing you know, she was removed from that first team from Pon de Replay and replaced with all new handlers and kept sheltered in Los Angeles, where she was going out to parties and partying at 15, 16, 17 years old, hanging out at the Rainbow Room, hanging out. Yeah, like it was one of my friends who found out she was 17 when everyone thought she was 21. And he was like, yo, why do y'all got me carrying this girl around and she's it's cool.
2. Some fans, Beyoncé's silence isn't just caution, it's calculated. They believe she's under pressure not only to protect her carefully curated image, but also to shield Jay-Z's legacy from unraveling as lawsuits continue to expose the industry's darker corners. One recent case made waves. A man accused Diddy of hosting disturbing parties and initially claimed that both Jay-Z and Beyoncé were present. But that detail was quietly removed after Jay-Z's legal team intervened. To some, that cleared their names. To others, it looked like power at work. A reminder that in the world of celebrity justice, access and influence can quietly reshape the narrative. Now, with more names surfacing and legal battles piling up, one question lingers. How long can silence hold back the storm?
The same reason that, Rihanna's music is blocked. Have y'all noticed that?
Yeah.
They're blocking her records. Like if you go and try to add a song to a short, the approved playlist when you put in search, you can't tag a Rihanna song to any of it. Not on Instagram at all. Why not? Especially anything from the Auntie album. It was her best album. It was the least promoted. It came to mixed. No, it was amazing. But see, Sean Carter doesn't like to be embarrassed in public, and neither does his wife. And there were nothing but embarrassing things all through that album about them. Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died of an imaginary aneurysm, just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book Bling and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list. Who the f is people supposed to go to? You can't go to the boss because the boss is you. And the boss's boss don't get no. Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought and paid for. You could try to get a special prosecutor, but they'll just pay somebody to reassign him to another case. Where the f go when you get over by the industry? Nowhere. That's where you go nowhere, which is where people like me step in. You right, I go to Diddy parties to walk mother out, cause ain't nobody stopping me when I come. Okay. I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston. Why did that house burn up? Who the to their childhood house for a visit and the up in flames?
That was very weird. The next day, within the week?
The next day.
The next day.
And still, no real investigation on how the house just went up in flames.
Man.
I guess they paid y'all off. Like they paid y'all off for that Astro World.
So, let me ask you.
Texas politics.
Yeah, Texas politics, man. It's that right there. We're gonna talk about the episode, but for right now, I just got to get your take on when we see a Killer Mike win 3 Grammys
and get arrested immediately after because Jay-Z paid somebody up just so he couldn't have a good night.
Well, Jay-Z just got named in the Diddy lawsuits. We've been saying it for a long time. And this is just the start. There's a lot more coming. Jay-Z has been accused in a civil case, and just accused, not convicted, in a civil case of a 13-year-old girl in the year 2000 with Diddy. This is a suit filed by Tony Busby, this dude out of Texas. And I just want to clarify what's happening in the music industry here is that this allegedly happened after she was driven to a party after the MTV Video Music Awards. Because what is coming out is that this is mainstream culture being done by most of the biggest names at the after parties of the award shows. This is like, the reason why this is crazy is because everyone knew, because it was an open secret, because it was happening in the middle of the mainstream culture. This lawsuit is from victims that are being represented by Tony Busby. He's the one that came out saying that he's representing 120 clients. He's the one that had the whole press conference that said many powerful people will be exposed. And I just want to clarify that this is boys and girls. In the first 6 complaints, it was on behalf of 2 Jane Does and 4 John Does. We've got complaints from people that were as young as 10 years old at the time, drugged and raped. And Tony Busby is not just some random lawyer. This dude has a long, powerful career. He was on the cover of the New York Magazine in 2010 for his litigation against BP following the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. He's represented celebrity cases, rapper, all kinds of stuff. He's also got a whole bunch of other stuff going on in his life. He's got a big reputation, and he's not trying to ruin that reputation. But these are just allegations, obviously, and we don't know yet. Jay-Z put out a letter basically being like, and he actually said, I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Okay, Jay-Z, let's go for a criminal complaint. Let's send this mother jail. My guess is that just like with Diddy, what starts as a civil case will probably also become a criminal case. But I just want to read the last paragraph out of Jay-Z's letter here. Quote, you have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes of honors. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. Okay, Sean, let's see just how different you are. In most cases, I would be, waiting for judgment and trying to see what comes out in court. And we will see what comes out in court. But the whole industry has been talking about Jay-Z for a long time. The whole industry was talking about Diddy for a long time. This is not a secret, and we all know what's coming. And Diddy's protection obviously ran out, and maybe Jay-Z thinks that his protection is still good, but I got news for you, Jay. It's a whole new world, and the people are ready for change. And we are done with corrupt, disgusting, blackmail, pet culture. So it looks like Jay-Z's got 99 problems, and little boys and little girls are about to be all 99 of them. So, peace.
Beyoncé and Jay-Z were removed from the lawsuit. The headlines vanished. The media went silent. Fans moved on. But behind the scenes, something deliberate happened. According to reports, Jay-Z's attorney presented travel records proving the couple wasn't even in Miami at the time of the alleged incident. With that, the accuser's legal team amended the complaint. On paper, it made sense. But the speed at which the narrative shifted is a stark reminder: when powerful lawyers step in, the public story can change fast.
Yeah, and it's clear that Jay-Z's not letting this go. If you read his declaration in that case where he is suing Tony Busby, what he's saying is, I viewed these letters as an existential threat to my reputation, everything I've worked my whole life to build, and he wasn't going to take it lying down. So even though this lawsuit's been dismissed with prejudice, the one against him, it seems like Jay-Z's going forward and will continue to pursue Busby, maybe to, sort of send a message that you can't do this to a certain type of celebrity, not him.
Well, Jay-Z was calling Busby a 1-800 lawyer. Called him a 1-800 lawyer and says the system needs to change. You can't have guys like this blowing up the lives of innocent people with allegations that he should be vetting and understand are not true. This is what Jay-Z had to say about this case against Busby. He said, I felt that Mr. Busby was placing a gun to my head, that I either bow to his demands or endure personal and financial ruin. As for the lawsuit filed on behalf of the female accuser, Jay-Z says Mr. Busby purposely filed this on the eve of my daughter's premiere to put me in the position of having to choose between supporting my daughter or hiding to avoid the...
Jay-Z isn't just a rapper. He's a billionaire mogul with high-powered lawyers on standby and deep ties across music, film, sports, and tech. When something threatens that empire, it doesn't last long. For decades, Jay-Z and Diddy moved as peers, collaborators, party hosts, and culture builders. Together, they shaped the sound and the business of hip-hop. But now, as Diddy faces a legal firestorm, one question keeps surfacing. Did Jay-Z know more than he ever let on? Because in this world, silence doesn't always mean innocence. Sometimes, it means protection.
To flock together.
Correct.
If Jay-Z is friends with R. Kelly and does business with R. Kelly and parties with R. Kelly, if Jay-Z is friends with Diddy, does business with Diddy and parties with Diddy, if Jay-Z shot 3 videos on Epstein Island with supermodels that were under the age of 18 that were provided by Naomi Campbell.
And signed the Harvey Weinstein.
Like I said, you didn't realize you were saying, but it's a very, very, very old adage. Birds of a feather flock together.
Correct. You know, and honestly, it's been you that's like, because everybody would wonder, like, you know, what was going on, and you've connected